Yo, guys, it's Kyle coming at you from Bane's Film Reviews. Believe it or not, I just watched John Carpenter's Halloween for the first time ever in my entire life. As a film critic, I feel that I should have seen Halloween at some point in my life, but I hadn't. I don't know if I really avoided it, but I just didn't really feel the need to ever watch that. Slasher films are not technically my thing. They're fine. I get why people like them, but they're not a thing that I typically enjoy. Again, going through the Carpenter catalog, I decided to watch the 1978 Halloween, the original, and it's fine. It's fine. Had I seen this years ago, before I developed a very specific idea of what I like in film, I probably would like this more. But I absolutely understand the allure and appreciate the things that go into this film. I think the cinematography is absolutely wonderful. In particular, one of the opening scenes in which a young Michael Myers at 13 years old, before he commits his first crime, you are seeing through the eyes of his mask, like through those little peepholes in his mask. And I think that's wonderfully done. And we get a really awesome point of view perspective throughout a huge portion of this film. And that, in my opinion, is what's most appealing. I think it's wonderfully done. And I think that using that point of view, using the cinematography in that way to be a character yourself, and hiding around corners or in closets or wherever you may be at that given time as Michael Myers, that is the thing that is most appealing about this film. It's done fantastically well, and I commend John Carpenter and his team for being able to pull this off in a time where slasher films were not a big thing, and horror films of this caliber, and that exists in this niche place in horror, that this was not a thing. Jamie Lee Curtis exists in this film simply because her mother was so successful in Psycho years before, and that was pretty much the ceiling for horror films for a long time, at least from what I've seen. So for John Carpenter to take a genre that was very simple, it was a lot of jump scares and it was creepiness, but not like this, and develop it into something that it has a cult following and it is considered one of the best horror films of all time, is absolutely incredible. But then there are absolutely some negative aspects of this. I'd be lying if I said this was a perfect film, and I don't think that anybody really believes that this is a perfect film. From a horror standpoint, it is spectacular. The creepiness and the eeriness and the suspense that they develop through the cinematography is perfect. But the characters are absolutely frustrating. I am not at all frustrated when I see one of them die in this film. It's none of the characters are interesting. They're all very frustrating. They're all annoying. Most of them are self-centered. They're all incredibly dumb in one way or another. And I was sort of okay with the fact that they were expendable. And knowing this from the opening moments, I anticipated their deaths, and I was totally fine with the fact that they had passed at some point in the film. And maybe that's part of the allure. Maybe that is why this slasher film has aged so well and why people continue to watch this and love it so much, because the characters are not super relatable and you don't care if they die or not. It's just about how and when they die. So I think there's something to that, but I absolutely hate these characters, and nothing about them appeals to me, including Jamie Lee Curtis's character. She does nothing for me. She's not a very compelling protagonist. She's very whiny. I don't think that she fits the role of the teenager. I think casting is a bit odd. She was the youngest of the cast of the female high school cast at 19 years old, and she looks significantly older. It's odd casting. I get, again, why she is part of this because of her mother, but they don't fit aesthetically. There's a lot wrong with the casting, and there's a lot wrong with the characters themselves, but again, maybe that's part of the allure. It is a film that drags a bit, But again, that's part of building the suspense, and Carpenter knew exactly what he was doing in that regard. And again, I commend him for what he was able to accomplish. Halloween is a fine film. And again, I think that had I watched this years ago, had I not developed a specific appreciation for film, or if I wasn't looking for a specific thing at this point, had I watched this when I was a teenager, or even in my early 20s, I think that I would appreciate this in a different way. But objectively speaking, I think that Halloween is an 8 out of 10. I think that it basically paved the road for all of the slasher films that came after. I mean, even all the way up to Terrifier. I don't think Terrifier exists if Michael Myers doesn't. Michael Myers walked very slowly but kept pace with everyone else so that Art the Clown could run. All right? Again, not a wonderful film by any stretch of the imagination, but there are some things that are absolutely spectacular and have aged very, very well. And I think that even the things that I don't particularly care for in this film are part of the allure for those that had seen it when they were younger or when it came out or whatever the case might be. I think that they play very well into the aspects of this film that do work. They just didn't work for me. But again, objectively speaking, I think that Halloween is an 8 out of 10. And I'm looking forward very much, because as I've moved through this catalog of John Carpenter, I've grown to appreciate him more than I thought that I ever would. So there's more on the way, and I look forward to sharing my thoughts with you on those as well. So until next time, peace.